Hi, I'm Clara Rose, and this is Influence Matters, the show where each week I share tips, tricks, tools, hacks, resources, and sometimes I have guests to help savvy influence builders just like you to strategically and intentionally establish, build, cultivate their influence. Because that's how we generate leads for our business, ministry, and our cause or our brand in an organic way. Super important. That is why we're here today, my friends. Before we get started, of course, I have to say a special thank you to our sponsor, Rosedale Publishing. Rosedale Publishing specializes in business books for professionals and entrepreneurs. So if that's something that you have a need for in your business, they are the people to call. Remember that a book is a tool that you use in your business, and those are the people to help you with it. Okay, and then of course I have to say a special thanks to the fine folks over at Tampa Bay Multimedia and WeBeam TV, where we are today, for truly making this show possible for you. All right, let's jump in and get started today. No guest, so of course we do have a question from a viewer just like you. Okay, let's see what our question of the day is, or question of the week, I should say. I have a successful coaching practice, but it seems all I do is work. I'm not complaining, just wondering how can I ever grow beyond this point in my business and still have a life? Signed, Frustrated Influencer. Well, my frustrated friend, I hear this a lot. and actually, it was a point in my own business that I suffered from the same frustration because I was just doing one-to-one services. And honestly, when you offer one-to-one services like coaching or consulting or even editing, which is part of my business model, you can only work so many hours a day. And that means you can only scale to a certain size in your business. So we're going to tackle that very topic for you today, my friend. All right, let's jump in. Let's talk first about how we can work smarter instead of working harder. And really, it's really about what is your strategy. Sometimes we have to work smarter, and in order to do that, we must pivot our strategy and leverage our resources. And since time is our most valuable resource, creating ways to better use our time is absolutely the key. So if you want to work smarter instead of harder, we got to get our handle on our time. And we're going to talk about that today. So we're going to go over 3 different ways that you can leverage your time better. So 3 different strategies, if you will, that is going to help take you from where you are now to having a little bit more time on your hands. We're going to use some leverage. Let's get started. Okay. Working smarter instead of harder. Here's the 3 ways that we're going to talk about today, how you can leverage your time better so that you don't have to work so hard. Masterclasses, workshops, and challenges. Now, I know that in a previous episode, we did talk about challenges a little bit. So today we're going to talk about them in kind of a different way. So masterclasses, workshops, and challenges on social media, especially, what you're probably seeing is that people are using those names interchangeably. But really, they mean different things. While somebody who does a masterclass could really be doing a challenge or might even be doing a workshop, they're not thinking of them as different things. It's just a term that they prefer over challenges or over masterclass or what. So we're going to talk about what the differences are and how to use them as a strategy. All right, so let's start with the first one. Let's talk about a masterclass. So a masterclass is a specialty class which teaches a specific set of skills or ideas. So this is a great strategy for starting a relationship with a new client in a group setting. And your savvy tip here is group coaching or training leverages your time. And didn't we just talk about that leveraging your time was the key to get you from where you are now to where you'd really like to be? So let me give you an example of a masterclass from my own business to help you understand it better. So I do a masterclass called Publishing Matters. Yes, I do have a book by the same name, but I teach this masterclass. Now this masterclass is everything that you need to know about publishing your book. Right? So people who are thinking, all right, I'm going to publish a book. I either have a manuscript in hand, or I'm working on my manuscript, or everyone's always telling me I need to write a book. Wherever you are in that particular process, it doesn't matter, because this masterclass is specifically about you understanding publishing and what your publishing options really are. So I'm not teaching you how to publish. I'm not telling you how you should publish. I'm going to educate you about how publishing works in the publishing world and what your options are. So I talk about, the front matter of your book and the back matter of your book. And I might talk about your cover and a little bit about your design for your cover, the intent of your book as a tool in your business, what you're going to do with it. All the publishing pieces, hybrid publishing, self-publishing, vanity publishing, traditional publishing, all of those things, I'm just going to educate you about them. That's the masterclass. We spend a couple hours together, and I educate, and then we have some Q&A time where people can ask questions. So that's really important in my masterclass, is that it can be interactive and people can ask questions, because it's confusing. There's so much to know. And so that's the way I've set it up. Now, I have seen people do masterclasses where they pre-record them, and then people can purchase kind of an on-demand idea for a masterclass. The downside that I see to that, at least for my potential clients or my clients, is that there's no Q&A time for them. So there's no way for them to get further information if they need it. Plus, you're missing out on the value that comes from interacting with others who are in the same master class. So usually they're 2 hours to 4 hours. Usually there's a live component of some sort, if not entirely live. I think absolutely for me, the entirely live has been the most successful. Yes, I do have to show up each time and do it live. I'm spending a couple hours of my time, but depending on the size of the group, I could be meeting 20, 50, 100 new potential customers who are getting a little glimpse of what it's like to work with me, getting to interact with others in the group, and getting to ask specific questions by raising their hand in the group. So lots of good reasons to have a masterclass that's live, and that's how I do it. So there's an example of how you can use masterclass to help leverage your time. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the workshop. The workshop it takes a set of skills to the next level and teaches practical application. So this is a great strategy for introducing the done with you service. So you're going to do things together. And my savvy tip here is it's only a workshop if theory moves to practical application. So that's why it's so different from a masterclass, right? A masterclass, I'm imparting knowledge, we're teaching something, but the workshop involves taking the student, the client, whatever you like to call them, the customer, to a next level. And they actually participate in the workshop. They're going to actually walk away with value from it. So here's an example from my own business, once again, just to help you understand. So I have a workshop called Brainstorm and Blueprint. I also have a course called Brainstorm and Blueprint for people who are so DIY, do it themselves. They're not interested in a workshop, but most people prefer the workshop. So here's how I do it. I have a 4 weeks in a row, 4 calls, 1 a week, for each of the categories that are in the Brainstorm and Blueprint process. Right? So I'm showing up, teaching live, and then I give homework assignment that the students then have to have done before they come back the next week. And we do that for 4 weeks. There's that live interaction piece that happens, but then there's also that Q&A time that helps with clarifying. People get to share their success, share their frustration, ask questions. Really super valuable to have that interaction. And at the end of those 4 weeks, everybody in the class who participated and did their homework, I might add, will end up with an outline, a really solid outline and a plan for publishing and writing and publishing their book. Now, the outline is absolutely foundational to successfully writing your book. So that's a way that people can do a workshop with me and come away with something that's super valuable to them, and it's been very interactive. That's the workshop. Now, I do see people doing full-day workshops, and in the past, I have done full-day workshops. So you have to stop and ask yourself, what I'm trying to teach, what I want to teach them, help them with, is it conducive to a full-day workshop, or is it better spread out with homework assignments? Now, for me, the full-day workshop is a lot more difficult because I'm making them think pretty hard. The homework assignment has them actually digging deep in, why am I writing this book? What do I want to say to people? What change do I want to bring about in people's lives when they read my book? So there's a lot of deep digging stuff that happens in the brainstorm and blueprint process. So it's really taxing and even overwhelming when done in a one-day setting. It can be done, and I have done it, but it's exhausting. It's exhausting for me, and it's exhausting for participants. Even if you do it one-on-one with somebody, it's super exhausting. Too much thinking happening. So it doesn't work well for my brainstorm and blueprint workshop, but it might work well for what you're trying to teach. So spend some time thinking about how that might work best for the transformation that you're promising to the people who take your workshop. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So this is the challenge that we've talked about before. So the challenge offers participants the basics of a proven system or process. So this is a great strategy for offering a sampling of the benefits of working with you, but in a group setting. So my tip here, of course, is Savvy Tip. The challenge offers real knowledge or transformation for the participant. Now, it doesn't do you any good to offer a challenge if there isn't something that happens for them. If at the end of the challenge they don't say, wow, I really need to work with this person more, or wow, I've learned enough that I can actually probably figure this rest of it out on my own. If one of those two things isn't happening, then your challenge isn't effective. So you see this, I'm sure, if you're on Facebook. I see it on Instagram, some other places. 3-day challenges, 5-day, 7-day, 30-day challenges. I just personally finished a 30-day challenge that was quite intense. We met 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, for an hour. And there was homework. So it was super intense. But at the end, I had so much value from going through the challenge that I then bought the next step. Right? I then went to the next step. Now, 30 days is a really long challenge, and getting people to engage for that long, I don't think that I would try to do that in my own business, but it worked well in that business model. So for my business, I actually do a 5-day challenge. You throw in a couple, sometimes 1-day bonus, sometimes 2, so it becomes a 6 or 7-day, but it's really just a 5-day challenge. And it is my Influence Builders Challenge. And so, of course, just like this show, I'm talking about writing, speaking, and leading to build your influence. But we do it in a group setting, in a challenge, where there is some homework involved, some thought process. You don't necessarily bring those thoughts back to me, but it's for your own benefit, right? You think through these pieces for yourself. And then, of course, at the end of the challenge, if you're interested, then you can work with me for an entire year in my coaching program, the Influence Matters coaching program, where we do your book, right? We write your book and edit your book and publish your book. We write your signature speech. We get you on stages where you can talk about your topic and where you can sell your book. And then we come up with a strategy for you in your community, in your niche, whatever you're trying to accomplish, where you can lead as a way to get more influence. So it's a year-long program. It's pretty intense. We meet every other week for an entire year. So there's a lot to it, but people who have had that week-long experience are like, oh, look how much value came out of this. I know I need to work with Clara to get all of these other things done. So when you're thinking about a challenge, that's what you need to be thinking. How do I impart to them enough knowledge that they leave thinking, oh my gosh, I have got to hire this person to help me with this. They obviously are the expert. They obviously have more to offer me. I'm going to sign up for their course or coaching or whatever it is they offer on the back end of their challenge. Now, we didn't really talk about it when we talked masterclass and workshop, but these are great places to have a next step offering. So I see this often when I'm participating in other people's things, a workshop, a masterclass, or a challenge, where they don't do a call to action at the end, or they don't do a what's next? What's the next step? So in my business model, the next step, that's the point, right? Yes, I want to offer value to clients and potential clients, but the point is to move them along in their customer journey with me and with my business. Or if they decide not to move on, at least leave them in a position where they went, wow, I learned so much from Clara. And the next person they talk to that says, oh, I need to start writing my book, they go, oh, you have got to reach out to Clara. Go take her masterclass, get in her B&B workshop. It helped me so much. She has this amazing program that someday I'm going to do, or whatever it is. So that's gold right there, right? You're setting those people up to become raving fans for you and your business or your ministry or your cause or your brand, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. So these are just 3 ways that you can remove yourself from the one-to-one and become one-to-many. Right? Leverage yourself, talking to lots of people, and save yourself some time. For me, it's been a beautiful way to decide which people I want to work with. Right? If you showed up every day in the B&B workshop, or you showed up and participated in the mastermind, or you showed up every day and participated in the challenge, I'm more interested in taking that relationship, that working relationship, to the next level, because I know that you're committed. So this is a great way for you to just vet those incoming clients, right? Those incoming people into your program. See how serious they are. See if they're interested in doing the work. Especially for you coaches and consultants. Coaches especially you can't do your job if people aren't willing to do the work that you tell them to do. So you might want to not take someone to the next step if they aren't willing to follow the first steps that you gave them. Right, at the end of the challenge for me, I'm taking them into a very lengthy kind of high-end program, coaching program. So I need to know that they're coachable. I need to know that they're going to actually do the work of it. Otherwise, a few months in, that relationship is likely to fall apart. That coaching program is likely to fall apart because they're not actually willing to do the work to make it happen. Sometimes it's a matter of them not being able to prioritize to get their work done. Sometimes they have some sort of block that they can't get past. So if you can figure those things out in advance, it's going to be better for you in the long run and better for your clients as well. Okay, so those are the 3 things that I wanted you to know about leveraging your time. Masterclasses, 2 to 4 hours, right? Live is best. Workshops, where you can do it on a 1-day, 2-day, or spread it out over time, but you actually have them doing something, doing some homework, participating, and walking away with getting their theory into practice, some actual tangible things they walk away from. Or challenges, which give them a little bit more of a superficial way to the means to the end, without going deep in depth to each of the things. Some people get confused between, well, how is the workshop and the challenge different, or even the master class? Aren't you still teaching them some of the same things? Well, you're teaching them differently. You're teaching it at a different level. Definitely the master class is more, I'm going to teach you in depth, but it's up to you what you do with that knowledge. The workshop is, I'm going to teach you and I'm going to require you to do something with the knowledge that I give you, because the next session, the next piece of the teaching is going to build on the previous one, because ultimately we're after an end goal or an end result. So the workshop actually produces something tangible. For me and the Brainstorm Blueprint, it's definitely that they have an outline and a plan for writing, editing, publishing their book. For you, it might be something different. Know what it is that you're trying to accomplish before you decide if you want to do a masterclass, a workshop, or a challenge. And then, of course, challenges being way more superficial in the kind of knowledge that you're giving them, but a broader base. It's going to walk them through the steps so that they understand the knowledge that they need to pull off whatever it is you're trying to get them to pull off, right? If you're going to write, speak, and lead, you want to be in the master class that teaches you the basics of writing and speaking and leading so that you can truly create some influence, because influence matters, right? Okay, I have a quick little bonus for you that I just want to go over. Kind of just tags onto the end of the 3 things we just talked about. I'm going to encourage you to have a plan. The masterclass, the workshop, the challenge, they're all part of an overall strategy to leverage your time, which we talked about in the beginning. So have a clear plan of action to take the participant to the next level or the next steps when they're working with you in your business. So savvy tip here is these strategies help participants to self-identify as your client. What do I mean by that? Self-identify as your client. Well, here's an example. When somebody comes into, let's say, the Publishing Matters, my master class. So they've been perhaps for years saying or told, you need to write a book. I'm going to write a book. I have something to say. I have a story to tell, right? So, or maybe they want to leave a legacy, or whatever their reasoning in their head for wanting to write a book. So this is like step 1. I'm going to need to find out about publishing. Let's do the Publishing Matters Masterclass. Now, as we work through the masterclass and I talk about the different pieces of publishing, I talk about the inside interior of their book, what it should look like and why, the exterior of their book. I talk about ISBN and barcode. What is that? How do I get that? How do I protect my rights for my book, which is kind of tied into your ISBN there. How do I make the decision whether I want to self-publish or hybrid publish or vanity publish or find a traditional publisher? And what does all of that mean anyway? So I'm walking them through all these individual knowledge pieces so that and then giving them opportunity to ask questions, which is why I do it in a master class, because trust me, there's so much information that you're just going to have questions. You need to be able to say, I don't know what you mean by that, or what's the difference between vanity publishing and self-publishing, and what in the world is hybrid publishing, and how do I know if a company is a hybrid publisher? Right? How do I find a traditional publisher? Don't I have to have an agent? How do I get an agent? So we can talk through all of those pieces, and along the way, people who are overwhelmed by all of that, they may realize, I don't actually need to write a book after all. Or this doesn't make sense for me at all. I'm not going to do this. Or, oh, I need to self-publish. I can see that clearly now. So that means I'm going to look for someone to teach me to self-publish. Or hybrid publishing is definitely for me, so I'm going to find myself a hybrid publishing company. Or absolutely, I'm not willing to do anything but traditional publishing. So I know I need to find an agent who can get me a publishing contract, right? So they will self-identify as your customer or not. So depending what services you offer them as you talk them through this class, You're obviously going to say, this is something that I offer. For instance, I offer hybrid publishing. I don't offer traditional publishing. There's a reason for that. I can help people self-publish, but that's not the main part of what I do. I offer editing services, but not every publishing company does. Right? So it helps me to educate the customer so that they can say, oh, you are not for me, right? That's what I need over there. And that's okay, right? That's okay if they're not my ideal customer. I want them to self-identify and say, Clara is for me. The brainstorm blueprint process that she has, that's for me. She hybrid publishes, that's the way I want to go. So it's not you convincing, because we know that influence isn't about convincing someone, right? Just educating them and helping them to make the best decision for themselves. If you convince somebody of something, pressure them, kind of coerce them into something, ultimately, they might not be a good fit for you and your company. I want customers, clients who say, Clara is for me. Her process is for me. I know that I'm going to work with her. Right? That is self-identifying as my client. And what that does for me is it takes away all of the work of trying to figure out if you're a good fit for me or not. Right? That's a big point of the Publishing Matters program. That's a big part of the Brainstorm and Blueprint workshop. Because if you build out this beautiful, amazing outline for your book in the Brainstorm and Blueprint process, and I go, oh, this is a fun project, I would love to work on it, I might say, I would love to work on this project with you if you're interested in my publishing packages. So it's a vetting process for both sides of the coin. Okay, we are out of time for today, but I hope that you found that helpful, and I will see you again right here next week for more Influence Matters. Have a great week.